You're binge watching YouTube right now. But when was the last time you actually posted on social media? For you, like many people, the answer is never, or it feels so long ago that you can hardly remember it. Welcome to the world of the lurkers, and before that word sounds creepy, you should know. This group is the majority. Around 90 to 99% of social media users don't produce content, they only consume it. This pattern has a name. It's called the 99-1 rule, where 90% of people only consume content, 9% occasionally engage, and just 1% actively create. Even Jimmy Wales, Wikipedia founder, found that over half of all edits came from less than 1% of users. So today we will go into the psychology behind this behavior and show that lurkers are not passive or lazy, they are active observers and constant learners. Think about how you use the internet. You watch videos, you scroll through posts, and you move from one clip to the next without leaving a trace behind. YouTube noticed this pattern. Out of its 2.7 billion active users, the vast majority watch videos without liking, commenting, or posting anything at all. They were present but invisible. And this same pattern shows up on other platforms too. On Reddit, only 1% of users create most of the content, 10% react to it, and 89% simply observe in silence. Most people are not here to perform. They are here to watch, to read, and to understand. Now pause for a second and think about your own behavior. How many YouTube videos did you watch this week? How many of them did you actually comment on? How many Instagram posts did you scroll past compared to the ones you liked? That gap you are noticing is the gap between being visible and being present. Lurking is not the exception, it is the norm. The internet is designed to highlight creators, but the internet itself is carried by millions of quiet viewers who read, watch, and move on without announcing themselves. Lurkers are the quiet participants. They are the audience, the readers, and the learners who keep the system alive without needing a microphone to be seen. So if you are someone who scrolls more than you post, understand this. You are not abnormal. You are the majority. The internet just doesn't talk about you. But what makes these lurkers choose silence over sharing? Well, there are some traits that make them behave like this. The number one trait is that they have a lower need for external validation. Posters often seek feedback in the form of likes, comments, and shares. It gives dopamine rush and social validation. Lurkers don't need it. A 2018 study found that people who lurk on social media tend to have lower scores in need for approval. They're comfortable not broadcasting their opinions. Their self-worth isn't tied to online engagement metrics. The second trait is that they are introverted or private personalities. Research in University of Kansas found 70% of lurkers are introverts. Introverts tend to observe rather than engage. They prefer to think before speaking and online. That often translates to not speaking at all. Their next trait is that they put high value on safety, control, and boundaries. When you post online, you lose control. Anyone can take your words out of context. Lurkers know this and they opt out. A 2020 Pew Research study found that 41% of Americans have personally experienced online harassment. That's not a small number. Many lurkers have watched others get attacked, and they've decided it's not worth the risk. They'd rather stay safe in the shadows than step into the spotlight and deal with the chaos. Number 4, these people have highly selective attention. Many lurkers aren't passive, they're just selective. They consume with purpose, they read, research, learn, and curate. They just don't feel the need to announce what they're doing. On top of these traits, lurkers have 4 types of fears that keep them from posting on social media. The first fear is being judged or misunderstood. 62% of Americans say they worry about their social media posts being misunderstood or taken out of context. That's more than half the population walking on eggshells every time they think about posting. Think about it. You write a comment. Someone misreads your tone. Suddenly, you're in a heated argument you never meant to start. Or worse, you become the villain in someone else's screenshot shared across platforms with thousands of people judging you based on 280 characters. Lurkers have watched this happen. They know that nuance doesn't survive online, so they stay quiet. The second fear is saying the wrong thing. The internet has a long memory, and zero patience for mistakes. A 2019 study by the Data and Society Research Institute found that 55% of young adults self-censor on social media because they're afraid of saying something that could come back to haunt them later. They've seen people lose jobs over old tweets. They've watched influencers get canceled for opinions they expressed years ago. They know that one poorly worded post can follow you forever, so they don't post, because if you never say anything, you can never say the wrong thing. The third fear they have is tied to their careers. According to a 2018 Career Builder survey, 88% of employers research candidates on social media before making hiring decisions, and 70% have rejected candidates based on what they found online. Lurkers know posting on social media can be potentially career-ending. They understand that their digital footprint isn't just a record of their past, it's also a threat. So they ask themselves, will this age well in 5 years? In 10? And most of the time the answer is probably not, so I just won't post it. And the fourth fear is becoming non-strategic. Here's the thing, many lurkers aren't avoiding the internet because they're scared or insecure. They're avoiding it because they're risk-aware. They've done the cost-benefit analysis. They've weighed the potential upsides of posting, likes, engagement, connection, against the downsides, judgment, misinterpretation, permanent digital records. And they've decided the risk outweighs the reward. That's not fear, that's strategy. That's long-term thinking in a short-term world. Now, if we go deep into the psychology of these people, they are quiet observers of human behavior. While posters are busy crafting replies and managing their own threads, lurkers are deep diving into discussions, reading every comment, following rabbit holes. They're the ones to finish the article, watch the full video, and read the entire thread before forming an opinion. For most people, social media is a platform to perform, be seen, and validated. For lurkers, social media acts like a library, a tool for research, learning, and inspiration. A 2017 study from the University of Amsterdam found lurkers often learned more than active participants. This happens because lurkers aren't distracted by managing their own online presence or public image. They can focus entirely on absorbing content, reading carefully, and understanding complex ideas fully. Lurkers save posts, bookmark threads, curate playlists, and build mental maps of credibility and sources. They pay attention to who knows what, who is trustworthy, and who is spreading misinformation. Lurkers are not performing for others or seeking validation. They are quietly focused on learning. They observe how tones, topics, and styles resonate and carefully file that information away. When they choose to speak in professional or personal spaces, they are informed and strategic. MIT Human Dynamics Lab research shows that observers contribute more valuable insights when they speak. They have absorbed context, read the room, and understand what has already been discussed. Lurkers are not silent because they have nothing to say. They are still listening. The key takeaway is that lurkers aren't passive. They learn quietly without needing to perform. But what do lurkers think about modern identity and confidence? Do they think they aren't confident? Well, this is where we zoom out. In a world built around personal branding, content creation, and constant visibility, choosing to lurk quietly is almost a radical choice. The internet rewards people who perform, share, and package their lives for attention. So stepping outside of that system can feel like going against the current. And to be honest, not everyone wants to build a personal brand. A 2023 Adobe survey found that more than half of Gen Z feels pressure to build and maintain a personal brand online, which means many people now feel they have to perform their identity just to belong. But not everyone wants to turn their personality into a product or their hobbies into content. Not everyone wants to convert their weekends into photos, their opinions into captions, and their private moments into something for public consumption. Lurkers have quietly opted out of this game. They are not trying to build an audience or chase followers, and they are not measuring their worth through views or engagement. They are simply living their lives without needing to package them for strangers online. There is also a difference between having a life and documenting a life. For many people who post frequently, experiences begin to feel like performances. The meal is no longer just a meal, it becomes content. The sunset is no longer just beautiful, it becomes a photo opportunity. Even meaningful conversations can start to feel like potential posts waiting to happen. Lurkers move differently. They experience moments directly, without placing a camera or caption between themselves and the experience. A 2020 study from the University of Pennsylvania found that people who constantly document their experiences often report lower satisfaction with those moments, because part of their attention is already focused on how the moment will look to others. Lurkers reject that trade. They would rather have the moment than the post. And if you ask me, choosing silence in a loud world can be a form of confidence. We live in a culture that often connects noise with importance. But confidence does not always need an audience. It takes confidence to not seek constant validation, to live without documenting every detail, and to let others perform while you remain comfortable in the background. A 2022 Harvard study found that most people feel more authentic when they take breaks from posting online, because the pressure to curate and perform fades away. For lurkers, that sense of authenticity is not temporary. It is a way of being. And maybe the most interesting people are not the loudest ones online. History shows that many influential thinkers and creators were observers first, who listened carefully before speaking. Lurkers operate in a similar way. They do not speak just to be seen. They speak when they have something worth saying. In a world full of noise, that quiet restraint might be the smartest move of all. So if you've ever felt invisible online because you don't post much, remember this: you're not behind, broken, or missing out on something everyone else has figured out. You're just moving through the internet in a quieter, more intentional way. In a world that rewards noise, choosing when to speak can be a strength. And in a culture that pushes performance, choosing presence can be power. If this video made you feel seen, go ahead and hit the like button. If you're a lurker, drop a comment and say "still listening," or just leave a quiet emoji. And if you want more videos like this about psychology, behavior, and the internet, subscribe and stay around. You don't have to be loud to belong here.